Hi, I'm Mark. I'm here to tell you why everyone is wrong about the Tyranids in that 10th edition trailer, plus some other details I thought about while going over the video frame by frame. First up, the Screamer Killer. The Screamer Killer is an obvious callback to the 1st edition model. It has 4 scything talons, it's standing upright, and it shoots a marine in the face with Bioplasma Scream. The 4 scything talons are smaller than the original model, but the arms themselves are longer. The Screamer Killer retains some elements of the 4th edition Carnifex, such as the spore chimneys protruding from its back carapace, and its mouth has little side mandibles, much like the 3rd edition Carnifex model. It's got a weird head, though. I mean, look at that thing. I don't know. It has carapace on the sides of its head as well. You can see here those gills along the side of its head are the same color as the carapace on the Screamer Killer's forehead. You can see them a bit better from this angle here. From the top of its head, you can see the carapace flares out to the sides a little bit. Next up, we have the Biovore. It sure is a Biovore. It has a little throat pouch, kind of like the Pyrovore does. Maybe this is a hint at there being a dual kit. You can see from this shot here that the cannon is off to one side. Maybe? I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. New Brain Bug. This is a Tyranid I'm most excited to paint. As you can tell, its head is very similar to the 2nd edition Zone Throat model. It also has weird little mouth tentacles. Maybe a callback to the 2nd edition one as well, as that also has weird protrusions from the side of its face. Also, its mouth is weirdly wide open in the trailer. And it's got little buddies too. I'm curious if they'll be on the same base as the larger model, or be on 3 separate bases. Maybe they'll act as little synapse boosters, or psychic boosters, or shields for the larger bug. Who can tell? The Lictor. The Lictor has a couple callbacks to the 2nd edition release. Firstly, its second set of limbs are kind of similar. It's got little protrusion talons that stick out the middle. Side note, you can see here that the tentacles of the Lictor are kind of octopus-like. There's a membrane connecting the tentacles near the base. Anyways, also like the 2nd edition mini, it's got teeth, as seen here and here. We've got another newcomer, the new tentacle guy. All we can tell from the trailer is that they eat marines and produce spores. Maybe it'll be like a new support unit like the Malanthrope. Games Workshop also released this wallpaper showing off that guy. It also has the same octopus-like tentacles that the Lictor had. An idea I thought of because of this image is that it'll have an ability where it immobilizes itself to create bubbles of -1 to hit via the spore clouds. Shrike! Or maybe a Flying Prime? I don't know. Personally, I just think it's a Flying Prime. If it were a Shrike, I believe they would have shown off more than one of them in the trailer. As you can see from it landing, it looks to have hooved feet and not clawed feet like I was really hoping for. You get a decent shot of the whole body when it tears that Terminator in half, and it looks to have flat hooved feet in this picture as well. Here you can see that the carapace connects the shoulders to the sternum plate, much like the existing Tyranid Prime model. Some people have been thinking it's a new flying hive tyrant, but you can see that the carapace extends off the side of the head, just like warriors and unlike the hive tyrant. Okay, Termagants. They have shown the model. It has ridges along its back, much like the 2nd edition release of the Mini. The Termagant is an overall beautiful modernizing of the current 3rd edition model. You've got the carapace extending further down the tail, the second set of limbs that are larger, and the claws are a lot more threatening. The flesh borer looks about the same, and he still has that cute smile. We also have an updated scheme for Leviathan. The skin and carapace are both more pink, the claws and hooves are black, and the gun is no longer red. It's this weird fleshy tone that works a lot better with this updated look. We also have a data card for this guy. The first thing I noticed was that 5+ save. We have an upgrade from paper armor to cardboard armor. But on top of this card, we also have a second data card that was shown off for a split second on stream. This is likely the data card that comes in the starter box, since there's only the one weapon profile. The other card was probably an index release for the Termagant? I don't know. But what's that we see? Rippers? Rippers. Okay, let's talk Rippers. I believe these guys that everyone are calling Hormagaunts are actually the new Rippers. We had this rumor about Hypergaunts, which were smaller Gaunts with multiple minis on a single base. Just like Rippers. Now, I know this is a pretty big split from how Rippers have looked in the past. Most of the other Tyranids we've seen thus far have had design callbacks to an earlier edition, but not these guys if they are indeed Rippers. But let's go over why they're not Hormagaunts. Firstly, they're smaller than Termagants. Also, they have a different ridge style along their backs. Their heads are unlike any Gaunt head in the past. It's got this beak-like design and no teeth on the lower jaw. Seen better in this image here. If you look at their backs, they have short, stubby tails, which you wouldn't expect for something like a Hormagaunt. And you can see here that it has a new carapace above the hip that wraps around the waist to extend up along its stomach. Overall, I think this is too much of a departure from the existing Hormigaunt design, and I would personally be very disappointed if this turned out to be Hormigaunt's. You have these fast, agile hunters and you turn them into little derpy toads? Not cool. Plus, if Hormigaunt's are a dual kit with Termagants, like people have been suggesting, there'd be too many different parts to make that worthwhile if these were them. Anyways, Hormigaunt's. Space Marine 2 has only shown 2 Tyranids so far, Warriors and Hormigaunt's. I doubt that Games Workshop would allow a new game to use older model designs than what will be the new hotness when the game releases. Personally, I don't think that Warriors will get a new release. They still look good as it is, but, I'd be happy if they got one. This Hormigaunt here is basically the same as the existing model, but you do have the carapace extending further down the tail, and you do have the larger second limbs. In the trailer, the first Tyranid that you see die may be a Hormigaunt. You see just behind it that there's a Scything Talon, but that could just be the second limb, and this is actually just a Termagant. In summary, everyone is wrong about Hormigaunt's. I believe everything shown in the trailer will be what is in the starter box, plus Wave 1 of the Tyranid release. Hormigaunt's will probably be in Wave 2, along with many more updates to our range. Thanks.